Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The market of VELARA9 was always loud. Traders shouted, machines hummed, and the smell of burning fuel mixed with alien spices filled the air. But that day, something strange was being sold. Inside a metal cage stood a young alien woman, her skin pale blue, her eyes glowing faintly like distant stars. She looked weak, like she hadn't eaten in days. The trader beside her raised his voice, trying to get attention. "Just $1. $1 for this failed creature," he shouted. The crowd laughed. No one cared. The alien woman didn't move. Her hands were shaking, her head slightly bowed. Chains rattled around her wrists. The crowd began to disperse. No one wanted something so strange and silent. That's when Ethan Ward stopped walking. Ethan was a retired human engineer who lived alone outside the colony. His clothes were dusty, and his face carried the lines of someone who had seen too much war, too much loss. He looked at the woman, and for a reason he couldn't explain, he stepped closer. The trader noticed him. "Hey, human, interested?" he said with a grin. $1 and she's yours. Half machine, half failed alien. She's broken, not worth more than a meal. Ethan looked at her. "What's her name?" The trader shrugged. "She doesn't talk much. Calls herself Lyra, maybe. Who cares? She's useless." The crowd laughed again. Ethan didn't. His eyes softened. "She's alive. That's worth something." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a single credit chip. But when the trader reached to take it, Ethan stopped. "No," he said quietly. "Keep your dollar. I'll offer her something else." The trader frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Ethan stepped closer to the cage. "A home," he said. "I'll offer her a home." The crowd went silent. The trader burst into laughter. "A home? You humans are strange. Fine, take her. She's your problem now." Ethan pressed the unlock code, and the cage door hissed open. Lyra didn't move. Slowly, he extended his hand. "Come on, you're free now." For a moment, she stared at him, her glowing eyes full of confusion and fear. Then, carefully, she placed her hand in his. Her skin was cold, almost metallic. And that's how it began. They walked through the dusty streets as the sun set behind the twin moons. Lyra didn't speak. She followed Ethan silently, her steps light and careful. The people they passed stared. A human walking beside a strange alien woman was not something you saw every day. When they reached Ethan's small workshop outside the city, he opened the door and gestured for her to enter. "It's not much," he said, switching on the lights. "But it's safe. No one comes here." Lyra looked around. The workshop was filled with tools, wires, and old machines. It smelled of metal and oil. Ethan handed her a blanket. "You can rest here," he said. "You're safe now." She hesitated. "Safe?" she whispered, her voice soft and strange, like music played underwater. "Yes," he said. "Safe." That night, Ethan made food, a simple meal. Lyra didn't eat much. She sat by the small heater, holding the blanket close. When Ethan turned to leave, she spoke again. "Why, you helped me." He paused. "Because nobody else would." Lyra looked down. "Humans, strange," she murmured. He smiled faintly. "Yeah, we get that a lot." Days passed. Lyra started to move around the workshop, curious about everything. She watched Ethan repair old drones and ships. Sometimes, she would help by passing tools or cleaning parts. Ethan noticed something odd. Whenever she touched broken machines, they would hum softly and sometimes flicker to life for a few seconds. He pretended not to notice at first. But one night, while he was sleeping, he woke to a strange sound, a low, rhythmic pulse coming from the corner of the workshop. Lyra was standing there, eyes closed, her hands glowing faintly blue. Around her, a pile of old parts floated in the air, assembling themselves slowly into a shape. Ethan got up quietly. "Lyra," he called. The glowing parts dropped to the floor with a clatter. She turned sharply, her eyes wide. Sorry," she whispered. "What were you doing?" "I don't know," she said, shaking her head. "It just happens. I feel machines, they listen to me." Ethan's mind raced. He scanned her using his old diagnostic visor. The reading shocked him. There was a neural reactor embedded deep inside her chest, something far beyond human technology. He whispered to himself, "You're not just part machine, you're something else." Lyra looked scared. "They made me," she said. "I was created. Experiment. Failed one. They throw me away." Ethan sat down beside her. "You're not a failure, Lyra." She looked at him, confused. Then, what am I? He smiled softly. Alive. That's enough. For the first time, she smiled too, small and shy. But peace didn't last long. One morning, while Ethan was repairing a generator outside, he noticed something strange in the sky, 3 faint dots moving fast. They weren't normal ships. He felt a chill in his chest. He ran inside. Lyra, pack your things. She looked up from where she was sitting. What's wrong? They found us, he said. Her eyes widened. No, not them. They can't. Who are they? Ethan demanded. She hesitated, her voice trembling. Creators. The ones who built me. They want me back, or dead. Ethan clenched his fists. They won't take you. Lyra stepped closer. You don't understand. They will kill you too. He looked straight into her glowing eyes. Then they'll have to go through me first. That night, the air was tense. The horizon flickered with distant light, the ships were closer now. Ethan prepared his old defense drones, activating the security shields around the workshop. He hadn't used these in years, but he remembered every switch, every line of code. Lyra watched silently. You fight, for me? She asked. Yes, he said simply. Because you deserve a life. Everyone does. She placed her hand on his arm. I don't understand humans, she whispered. You fight for things that are not yours. He looked at her. Maybe that's what makes us human. As the night deepened, Lyra stood by the window. The twin moons reflected in her eyes. She spoke softly, almost to herself. I hear them. They are close. They speak in my head. Ethan loaded his plasma rifle. Then we're ready. Lyra turned toward him. No, Ethan, listen. If they find me, they will destroy everything here. You must leave. He shook his head. I'm not leaving. Her voice broke. Please, I don't want you to die. He smiled sadly. I've already died once, when I stopped caring. You gave me a reason to live again. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. A tear, glowing faintly blue, rolled down her cheek. Before Ethan could speak, the sky outside exploded with light. 3 ships descended through the clouds, their engines howling like thunder. The ground shook. Lyra's body began to glow, brighter and brighter, her hands trembling as if something inside her was waking up. Ethan, she whispered. They're here. The lights in the workshop flickered. The machines around them started to move on their own, responding to her fear. Ethan looked outside. Armored drones were landing near the door. He raised his weapon. Stay behind me. Lyra's voice grew deeper, almost mechanical. No, I must face them. Lyra. Before he could finish, a blinding light filled the room. The door blew open. Ethan shielded his eyes, and through the smoke, he saw dark figures stepping inside. Lyra's eyes turned white. Her voice echoed through the air, not human, not machine, but something between. You shouldn't have come. The air vibrated with power. And then, silence. The door of the workshop burst open with a thunderous crash. Dust and smoke filled the air as armed figures stepped inside, their armor glowing with red lights. Ethan's hands tightened on his rifle. Lyra, stay down. But Lyra didn't move. Her body glowed brighter, the light pulsing like a heartbeat. The machines in the room began to shake and hum, responding to her presence. One of the armored soldiers raised a weapon. Subject Lyra 9, you are property of the Zenith Corporation. You will return W.I.T.H. us immediately. Lyra's voice was calm but cold. I am not your property. The soldier took a step forward. You are a prototype. You don't have the right to choose. Ethan fired first. The shot hit the soldier's chest, throwing him back. Sparks exploded from his armor. The others opened fire, energy blasts cutting through the air. Ethan dove behind a table, returning fire. Lyra screamed, a sound that wasn't human at all. The workshop lights shattered. The ground trembled. Every machine in the room came alive. Drones, tools, even the metal walls bent and twisted under invisible force. Ethan looked up, stunned. Lyra, what are you doing? Her eyes glowed pure white. Protecting my home. The attackers tried to retreat, but the machines around them swarmed like a living storm. Weapons flew from their hands. The air filled with blinding blue light. Then, silence. The soldiers lay unconscious. Sparks burned in the air. Lyra collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. The light in her skin flickered weakly. Ethan rushed to her. Hey, stay with me. Her voice was faint. I used too much energy. He held her close. You saved us. She looked at him with a tired smile. No, you saved me, first. For hours, Ethan worked to repair the power systems, keeping Lyra stable. He used every bit of tech knowledge he had. Her systems were damaged, some kind of core inside her chest was overheating. He found strange markings on her back, glowing faintly, codes, symbols from Zenith Corporation. They pulsed slowly, as if alive. "What did they do to you?" he whispered. When Lyra woke, she looked weaker. "They made many like me," she said softly. "But only I survived. They wanted to make a mind that could feel and obey. But I could not obey." Ethan sat beside her. "You're more human than they'll ever be." She looked at him with glowing eyes that shimmered with sadness. "They will not stop. I feel their signal. More ships are coming." He stood up. "Then we'll leave. There's an old transport under the ridge. It still flies." She shook her head. "No, Ethan, they will follow me anywhere. If I go, they'll destroy every planet I touch." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we make them stop." By nightfall, the desert was alive with fire. The sky glowed red. Zenith ships had arrived. Hundreds of drones filled the air, scanning for energy signatures. Ethan and Lyra stood outside the workshop. He had strapped on old battle armor, his rifle charged. Beside him, Lyra looked calm, glowing softly in the darkness. "Are you ready?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "No, but I must be." They walked to the ridge, where the old transport ship waited. Ethan opened the hatch. The engines groaned but came to life. As they lifted off, searchlights swept across the NDS. Missiles streaked toward them. Lyra raised her hand. The missiles froze midair, trembling, then turned back toward the ships that fired them. Explosions lit the sky. Ethan looked at her, amazed. "You're incredible." She shook her head. "I am dangerous." The ship flew into orbit, chased by Zenith fighters. Ethan dodged through debris fields, while Lyra sat in the co-pilot seat, focusing. Her hands glowed as she interfaced directly with the ship's systems. "They're jamming communications," Ethan said. "I can break through," Lyra replied. "Give me time." She closed her eyes. The lights on the control panel flickered. Ethan could feel her presence in the ship. It was as if she had become part of it. Alarms blared. "They're locking missiles." "Not for long," she whispered. The ship suddenly accelerated, faster than it should have been able to. The engines screamed. They shot past the enemy fleet, disappearing into the dark void. When they were finally safe, Ethan exhaled. "You did it." But Lyra's body slumped forward. Her glow dimmed. "Lyra!" he shouted, catching her. She opened her eyes weakly. "I linked too deep. System damage." Ethan's voice shook. "No, stay with me." She smiled faintly. "Ethan, thank you for giving me a home." He shook his head. "Don't say goodbye. Not now. I'm not gone. Just resting." Her light faded. Ethan flew for hours, trying to find somewhere safe. Finally, he landed on a small moon, cold and quiet. He carried Lyra inside an abandoned shelter and connected her body to power lines. He spent days studying her systems. Her body was alive but in sleep mode. Deep inside her core, her consciousness was still there, but silent. Ethan refused to give up. He repaired circuits, replaced damaged wires, and fed her power cells. One night, exhausted, he sat beside her and spoke softly. "You once told me machines listen to you. Well, now I'm listening. Wake up, Lyra, please." The room was silent. Only the hum of power filled the air. He closed his eyes, his hand resting on hers. Then, a spark, a soft light began to glow under her skin. Her fingers twitched. "Ethan." His eyes opened wide. "Lyra, you're awake." She looked around slowly. "You didn't leave." He smiled. "I don't leave my friends behind." She tilted her head, studying him. "You still call me friend?" He nodded. "Always." She smiled, her eyes shimmering. "Then maybe, I am human after all." Weeks passed. They rebuilt the ship together. Lyra had recovered most of her strength. But something was changing inside her. Her systems were evolving. She could now control machines across entire cities with her mind. She could see digital signals as if they were colors in the air. Ethan noticed it too. "You're getting stronger," he said. Lyra looked thoughtful. "Yes, and that means they'll come again." He frowned. "Then we'll be ready." She smiled sadly. "No, Ethan, I must end this. Not for me, but for everyone like me." "What do you mean?" "I can reach their network, the core of Zenith. If I connect, I can shut it down. But it will destroy me." Ethan grabbed her hand. "No, there has to be another way." She looked into his eyes. "You once said I deserve a life. Let me earn it, by saving others." He wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her face. She had already decided. That night, under the stars, Lyra stood beside the ship. Her body glowed brighter than ever, her light spreading across the ground like water. Ethan stood behind her, tears in his eyes. "If you do this, you might not come back." She smiled. "Maybe not, but part of me will always be with you." Then she closed her eyes, and connected. The stars seemed to flicker. The air filled with static. Across the galaxy, Zenith's machines began shutting down one by one. Control towers went dark. War drones fell from the sky. Entire fleets powered off in silence. Lyra's voice echoed softly. "It's done." Her glow faded. Her body went still. Ethan ran to her, shaking her shoulders. "Lyra, wake up." But she didn't move. He knelt there for a long time, holding her hand as the first light of dawn rose over the moon's horizon. Then, slowly, he noticed something, the faint blue light of her core still pulsing. And then, her voice. "Ethan." He looked around. She wasn't moving, but her voice came from everywhere, the air, the machines, the ship. "I'm here," she said softly. "I'm not gone. I spread myself through the network. I'm free now." Ethan smiled through tears. "You did it, Lyra. You're free." Her voice was gentle. "And you are not alone." He looked up at the stars. "Then let's go, partner. There's a galaxy to rebuild." The ship's lights flickered, as if she was smiling. And together, they rose into the stars. The end.